Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite makes the process of becoming a published best-selling author as simple as sipping your morning cup of coffee. You can learn more about Authors Unite at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Jens Hentschel with us. He is the founder of the FIVIS partnership, which is the company that helps you to focus on what really matters in your business, namely your customer. Customer centricity, supply chain management, and procurement is his passion. So welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Tyler. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. Pumped to have you here all the way from London. We'll dive right into the first one. The first question I have from you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Yeah, cool. No, look, I mean, I've started my career many moons ago at Procter & Gamble. So I was very junior in the company, and they put me into the procurement department. And so after the first 2 weeks, I pretty much asked my boss at the time, look, what do I need to do to really be successful in a corporate career? So I was really ambitious at the time. And he was saying, look, Jens, there's three things that you need to be focusing on. First thing is you need to know your stuff, right? You need to build your skills. Second thing is that you need to seize the opportunity. And the last thing that you need to consider is that you always need a little bit of luck to be successful. And at the time, to be open and honest with you, I was a bit frustrated with that because I thought I just need to push it. I need to be good. And then everybody would say, okay, he's great. We're going to promote him and I'm going to have a great career. I was a bit surprised to hear that luck is actually something that I have to take into account. So as time progressed, 2 years later, or two and a half years later, I was still in procurement at P&G. We had a leadership change in the procurement department. So P&G at the time, there was like 3,000 procurement professionals, and on the top level, they had a new person coming in, and it was a lady, and she used to be in finance at Procter & Gamble, and she was actually married to the CFO at the time, and probably she still is. And but she didn't know anything about procurement, but she made a deliberate choice to move from finance into procurement. And I was lucky enough that she decided to come into our team to learn what procurement is like. And I was at the time in a very small team, a global team. So we had some folks sit in Cincinnati in the headquarters, some in Switzerland where I was based, and some in Singapore. So like maybe 10 of us. And she came over and wanted to learn from us on what procurement is like. So I had then all of a sudden that senior executive with 25 years of experience in a large corporation sitting next to me, and I had to explain her what procurement is all about. So that was really a great experience. And the funny thing is that at the time I was actually developing a relationship model, a customer centricity model. So how to win with your customer. I had a challenging situation with a supplier at the time and came up with a very simple five-step model on how to turn it around. And when I presented that model, it was pure coincidence. When I presented that model to my supplier, she was in that meeting as well, because as I said, she wanted to learn on how that works to interact with suppliers. And so that meeting was over, and she came to me and said, Jens, look, what is that model? I really like that. Can I take this model and use it in my presentation for the upcoming supplier summit that we have? So the supplier summit is something at P&G where every year 400 suppliers out of the 80,000 suppliers that they have, they come together and they get strategic instructions from the leadership teams on what they should be doing in the year ahead. And she was using my model that I developed there with that supplier to tell the supplier base at P&G on what customer centricity is all about. And that was really the moment where I realized, Tyler, that yes, you need to know your stuff for sure. You need to seize the opportunity, but a little bit of luck is required as well to advance your career. If she wouldn't have changed her career, if she wouldn't be in our team, I would have never gotten that opportunity. So that's my little story there.
I love it, man. Thank you for sharing that. The next one is what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Yeah, I think I would like to link it back to that model that I mentioned early on. So again, it's a very simple 5-step model. And the good news, Tyler, is Building winning customer relationships is something that we all can do. And the other good news is we do it all the time already. I mean, you probably back home with your partner or your family, or listeners online there with their family as well. We all have certain behaviors that we do day in, day out that help us build winning customer relationships or relationships with the people that we value. Now the issue is though that unfortunately when it comes to business, we tend to forget on how to apply these behaviors because we didn't put it in the framework. So my framework just helps to visualize things that we already do and to put it into a business context. So if I can just quickly outline to you what these 5 steps are. And again, it's not rocket science. Don't expect anything big. This is really super simple, and that's where the magic of this model is. So the first thing, I call it FIVIS, by the way. That's the reason why my company's name is the FIVIS Partnership. FIVIS stands for 5 statements that start with the letter I. So the first element is that you need to do, and what your customer is expecting from you, is to care. So I care. You need to fully understand who your customer is, what your customer is about. You need to relate to them. You need to spend time with them. You need to understand their dreams, their passions, their anxieties, their nightmares. This will only enable you to get a full understanding of what your customer is all about. So that's the first thing that people expect from you. The second thing that people expect from you and that your customer is after is that you continuously improve. Status quo is never acceptable, and you need to think and ask yourself, what can you do to get even better the day after? The third element that customers are after and are tremendously important to build a winning relationship is that you need to be competitive. And being competitive doesn't mean that you always need to win and you're after to be the best, but it's that you enter into the competition to try to be the best. This is the attitude that people value, that you are aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, that you are willing to be compared to someone else, to your peers, that you understand where you need to improve, to then in the next round, when you compete again, that you potentially win. This is the magic attitude that you need to show. And the fourth one is to be responsive. Your customer's timeline is your timeline. It's sometimes totally beyond me why some companies out there are still operating with a 9-to-5 principle. If your customer has an issue at 3 a.m. in the morning, well, then probably you need to deal with it at 3 a.m. in the morning. So these are the four characteristics, the 4 statements that really tackle the expectation and needs of your customers. So to care, to continue to improve, to compete, and to respond. And then the 5th element completes the cycle, and that is to win. So what is really important to you to win in this relationship? Because if you want to build a win-win relationship, you need to be aware of what is in there for you. And it starts all with articulating yourself what winning means. What are your goals? Because as soon as you articulate them, you can transparently share them with your counterpart. And as soon as you do that, you can build that magic relationship and a winning relationship. So that's my little model that hopefully will help people out there to build winning relationships with their customers.
Definitely, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. And it makes it really simple. So I really appreciate you putting that together. And so it could tie in, but what is your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
Yeah. So as I said, I spent most of my career in procurement and supply chain functions. So I was interacting a lot with, suppliers and salespeople. And I think the one advice that I can give people out there is focus on the why, focus on the purpose. Because I had a lot of salespeople that wanted to sell us stuff, for products or services, whatever it might be, materials. And I asked them a lot of times, okay, why should I buy this material from you? Why should I buy this service from you? And believe it or not, most of the people struggle to answer that question. But it can be so powerful if you then trigger the imagination of your buyer, if you trigger their fantasy and what you can achieve when you buy this product from me. That is where the magic is. If you just tell me, well, why should I buy from you? Well, it's a good price, a good product, and the differentiation between us and our competitor is not that big. Well, it's probably not good enough in this competitive world out there. So I can only advise everyone, focus on the why more than anything else. Get your purpose behind on what you do. I think that will get you much further than anything else.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, it's funny that you're asking that question, Tyler, because I've got my 20-year, celebration of my graduation from high school coming up. So I was going through some old pictures, and thankfully the good old days, no Facebook and stuff was around, so it's all analog, so it's not shared with the world, and I would only give my younger self good advice of getting my act together and getting a proper hairstyle. I mean, I was thinking that I was a cool dude at the time in high school, but that hairstyle really didn't do it at all. But on a more serious side, though, I would say to be a bit more patient. I think I was a bit impatient when I was younger, and I think sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to see the result of your actions. So these are probably the two things that I would say.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Tyler. And I would really love to. I mean, maybe in some of the other episodes, or one of the next episodes that you do, to really hear what you've heard from the gazillions of people that you've interviewed on what they say, and to benchmark it pretty much. Because it's a tough one, right? But look, I mean, I was lucky enough to travel Africa for 4 weeks a couple of months back, and it was just an amazing experience. And what I just realized is that, I mean, people down there are super happy as well, with much less compared to us, right? I mean, they don't care about the new iPhone XXX or whatever it's called. I mean, they are happy with what they got. And I think what it boils down to is that you should have yourself put yourself in touch with people that you do like, that you enjoy being with. That's the most important thing and key to happiness. Don't waste your time on people that drag you down and make you unhappy. Spend time with your family and friends. That is what makes you happy in the end of the day.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Yeah, I'm currently reading this book from Yuval Harari. It's called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. I don't know if you came across it.
I have heard it.
It's very, very interesting. It just makes you, I haven't finished it yet, but I'm halfway through. It really makes you think on what kind of weird coincidence happened during the evolvement of humankind that made us act the way we act today. So I can highly recommend it. Cannot yet tell you what I learned of it, but it is really, really interesting.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a quotes person per se, I have to say, but I remember a time when people were still sending each other emails. I had a friend that had a signature with a quote in the bottom, and that's something that a quote that I actually did enjoy and that stuck in my mind. And it's from Robert Frost, and it says, "In 3 words, I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on." And that's something that really resonates with me, because whatever happens, whenever you're feeling down or something bad has happened in your life, you can always be certain that it goes on, right? You just go to bed and your next day is going to be a new day. And I think that's something that I consider as a very good quote.
I love it, man. Dude, thank you so much. There was a ton of value in this one. The last one I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
Yeah, look, I mean, check out our website. It's FIVIS.io, so FIVIS.io, the FIVIS partnership. On LinkedIn, you can contact me as well with any kind of question or advice. I'm always happy to help. And yeah, thanks again, Tyler, for having me on the show.
Of course, man. Thanks for jumping on.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.